last years of the 19th century, that human affairs were being watched from the timeless worlds of space. No one could have dreamed we were being scrutinized as someone with a microscope studies creatures that swarm and multiply in a drop of water. Few men even considered the possibility of life on other planets. And yet, across the gulf of space, minds immeasurably superior to ours regarded this Earth with envious eyes. And slowly and surely, they drew their plans against us.
Broadcasting live
from a tiny studio somewhere in North America.
This is Dark Matters Radio Live. And now I give you your host,
the Silverback of ufology.
Here's Don Ecker.
And good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. KGRA proudly presents Dark Matters Radio with me, your host, and Mr. Richard Saraday and Mr. Mark Center. Gentlemen, welcome back in the midst of the apocalypse. Could this be it?
We are.
Could this be it? The end times? Are the zombies about to scour the earth? I mean, there's no telling.
Well,
Get your shotgun out. Get your shotgun out.
I need my machete.
Oh, well, one of those are good too. How you guys doing?
Well, I just told them about 5 minutes before I went in the air, I smashed my 3 fingers of my right hand in the garage door, closing it, and my fingers got crushed. So I'm sitting here with ice in my fingers. And let's see, what did I started on a heavy antibiotic.
Did anybody tell you that you're not supposed to do that?
You know, I didn't come with an owner's manual. You know, that's what happens. You got small animals around. You're trying to keep the door closed behind you when they're trying to get out. And I reached back and the door's shut. And it's like, you know where the hinge is on the door?
Yeah.
It was like the door was open. I had my hand where the hinges go and the door closed. You know the amount of leverage that is on a when they crush.
That is not something, Rich, you should do. Okay.
No,
I'm just telling you right up
fingers.
That is not something you should do.
Oh man, you take all the fun out of life. But that's minor compared to the fact that I have a raging dental infection. I finally got the medication for it late this afternoon. Just took my first dose of a heavy antibiotic to go into the bone.
Jesus, so, you're an expensive date, dude.
I am having a joyful day, guys. So
you are an expensive date, my friend.
Yeah, well, you ain't paying, so what are you worried about?
Mark, how's it going, buddy? I mean, you're sitting back there in the back, staying real quiet. How's it going in Marietta, California?
It's going good. My wife actually got sick. It was a common cold, so thank God for that. She's feeling better. She's going to go back to Sam's Club to work tomorrow. At Sam's Club and Trader Joe's and Winco and everywhere that I've seen except for Walmart, they let 50 people in and then you wait in line, one in, one out, one in. I don't actually blame them because, you know, what do you need with 10 cases of toilet paper, Don?
Well, that's a lot of poping, and unless you've got a family of 39, I don't think you need that much. But hey, look, a few days ago, I had to take Vic to the bank. Vic still can't, by the way. She can't drive. So we hopped in the car and we ran up to La Crescenta, which is a little tonier spot than what Tujunga is. And we got up there and she went to the bank, and right next to the bank was a Trader Joe's. And I looked and I noticed some guy standing in the doorway. And there were a lot of people outside. And Vic came back to the car and she said, well, you know, I just might go into Trader Joe's and see if there's anything in there we ought to have. And she walked up to the door, and the guy pointed down the mini mall. And as far as I could see, there was a line of people. And she said, "Do I have to get in line?" And the guy smiled and he shook his head. She came back to the car and she said, "The hell with that." So we came home. I mean, it was a happy time by all.
That was great. Hey, it's open lines in the chat. I posted the little UFO video that I sent to all you on-air guys to take a look at, and I talked to Steven. He's got an idea about it, and he wants to talk about it when you open the lines, okay? So
what is it?
The UFO video I sent you guys.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right,
so,
sure.
Yeah, I just want to warn the people in chat to watch it, so when Steven calls in, you guys will know what he's referring to.
Okie doke, sounds good. Now, last night I had Micah Hanks on. This is a guy that is always a pure joy to have as a guest on DMR. And we got into one of my favorite topics, which involved archaeology, ancient history, the origin of man, the origin of dogs, a lot of other stuff. Did either of you guys catch the show?
I started to watch it a bit, and then I got all involved in counting each grain of rice in a Ziploc bag, so no.
Okay, all right. How about you, Rich?
And Rich is gone.
Yes, apparently Rich is gone.
Rich is on mute, yeah.
I thought maybe you left the building there, buddy.
I'm not in the building, man. I'm on the sidelines. Anyway.
That was a metaphor, Rich.
Oh, I thought it was a simile.
Or one of those, what?
No, it was a metaphor. You didn't use like or as. That's a simile.
That's very true.
Technically speaking.
Very true. Well, I've got an English teacher I live with here every day, so she pretty much keeps me in line. So did you catch last night's show?
I was saying I caught it by the latter part of it when you were talking about the I talked part the Gobekli Tepe part.
Right.
Yeah, I heard that. Yes, it was very interesting. He's always, put a nickel in him, man. He goes into detail. He'll go.
Yeah, well, I'm more expensive. It takes a quarter for me, but hey,
inflation.
Who's counting? So what have you guys been up to? I mean, anything exciting other than sheltering in place? Because if that's all we've all three done, I'm calling the show now. So you tell me.
Well, good night, Groucho.
That'll give Skywatcher a Twitter pater or two.
Well, I listened a little bit of Commander Cobra replay, and I listened to some other replays as I've been sitting here the last couple of days. There's some pretty good shows on our station, I got to say. Heard a great interview that Lieb Shriver did with Diane Hennessy, Harvard professor. Did you guys hear that?
Right.
Boy, she is very interesting. She in neurobiology and neuroanatomy, she's all about the brain. And, she likes to study twins and telepathy and things like that. It's a very interesting show because there's actually a lot of stuff they've discovered. And she addressed the fact, and she's on staff at Harvard. And they get into reincarnation.
That's Harvard. Where you park your car.
Harvard Yard. Something like that. Yeah. Anyway, but she's a very interesting listen, so I recommend it to anybody. It's in the archives of the show. Diane Hennessy.
Okay.
And she goes at the end, she's talking about reincarnation in the last part of the interview. And there's those famous cases of the kid who was in a plane that burned in the war and they tracked it down. There's the case of the kid who in India was able to take him back to his village, show him his former parents, show him where his toys were and all that kind of stuff, And, also explored the fact that, when we're young, it fades from our memory as we get older. Even these kids, when they got older.
Well, basically, you're being taught not to do that. Okay, I mean, it's society in large.
Yeah, well, it's like society's inverse. It's almost like everything on the metaphysical or the spiritual plane is almost the opposite, isn't on the physical density here. It's really interesting. No no's are yes yeses, and yes yeses are no no's. It's weird.
Weird.
You heard about the joke about the Catholic priest who finally realized that Christ did not say celibate; he said celebrate. They changed it.
Weird scenes inside the gold mine, dude. Jim Morrison said it 50 years ago.
Absolutely. So I've been playing the guitar a lot, trying to learn some new tricks of the trade, and I actually got to watch a brand new Sam and Dean, and I liked it a lot. And then I watched a documentary about the fandom of Supernatural, made in 2011 or something like that, and I really enjoyed it. I'm not quite the fan that Don is, but yes, I enjoyed it very much so.
What did you enjoy? What's it called?
Supernatural.
It's a documentary that I can send you about the fandom of the show. And
I thought, okay, that makes sense. I thought you said Phantom. I was going, Phantom?
and how the guy that created it said we were because we came out at the same time that podcasts and things started to be used more, we went after that and really interacted with podcasts and things of that sort, and asked people what they liked, what they didn't like, and we responded to it, and they believe that that's one of the reasons that it's been so successful, and I think Don would agree.
Are you speaking for me?
No.
Oh, well, you can, because I do. I agree.
I'm speaking at you. So,
yeah. So anyway, it's been really chilly weather here for the last couple of weeks. Very damp. The weeds and brush are growing by leaps and bounds, which means this summer, hopefully that plague will be over, because if it's not, and we have more wildfires, there's no place to shelter in place that I can think of.
Yes. Yeah,
which is kind of a bummer.
It's you're right. I don't think about that as much as you because of the location. Boy, is it going to be a rough fire season, because we've got a lot of glorious rain, but as you say, there can be a bad side to that.
Yeah. Well, let's see.
The canyon here is ripe for a fire, baby. Ooh. It's way overdue.
Hey, Don, I heard a rumor you might get some goats.
Well, I'm looking to rent some.
Nice.
5 or 6 would be good. If I'm not mistaken, and I haven't mentioned it to her in a while, but I believe my bride knows somebody that has goats that can be rented, because we could sure use them here.
Man, that would be very interesting to see how your dogs respond.
Yeah. Hey, I want to tell you, now this is kind of a weird thing. Out here where we live, we have a ton, maybe 1.5 tons of coyotes. Okay. Now, coyotes are rough on the small animal species, small dogs, small cats, and what have you. I personally, since we've been living here, have lost 2 cats to coyotes. So I have not, Vic and I decided quite a while ago, we're not going to have any more cats. But we do have, of course, we have our dogs. Now, the reason I mention this, several days ago, I came out like I generally do around 5:30, 5:45 in the morning, got myself a cup of coffee, sat down at the dining room table, and it was still pretty dark outside. But as daylight began to break, okay, out of my peripheral vision through the window, I thought I saw something. So I looked, and here was this gorgeous gray cat with a big white splash down his chest. And I was kind of surprised. And where in the heck did you come from? And then he saw me looking at him. He jumped down on the ground. And then he did something very odd. He stood up on his two hind legs, staring into my window, watching me. And then I looked at him, and he took off. Well, when Vic came out, I told her about that. And I said, boy, I got to tell you, I was surprised. Here's a cat running loose. I wonder who it belongs to. And she said, well, yeah, or maybe it's feral. And I said, well, I'm going to keep my eye open. And that was it. Well, this morning, I got up late, okay, late for me, 7:30, 7:45. I had not gone to bed until really late last night after midnight. And I came out, got a cup of coffee, and I'm at the table, and all of a sudden, once again, out of my peripheral vision, I see movement, and I turn my head, and here is this same cat. Now, I grabbed my cell phone, and I took a number of photos of him so I could show Vicky when she came out. And I'm wondering to myself, he either has fewer than his total 9 lives, wandering around, or the cat is bulletproof. I don't know which, but, there you go. And if you lived up here, you'd know why that was very strange.
Yeah. I wonder if it's a familiar. You know what a familiar is, right?
Oh, sure I do.
That's what Don says to me, dude. You're getting a little familiar.
Well, stay out of harm's way there, bud.
I wanted to ask you guys. I don't know a whole lot about the subject that Don will talk endlessly about if you put 25 cents in him. I got a documentary by William Henry on the Judgment Day device, and I wanted to ask both of you guys what you know about it and what your view of his thoughts about the Ark of the Covenant as a part of a larger device.
Huh. You want to start, Rich, or should I?
Well, why don't you start, Don? I think it could be used as a power source maybe, but I think it was clear that the thing they carried around was pretty much the thing they carried around. Maybe there were other parts to it. Who knows? Also, there was more than one, as I understand, depending on the research you do. That's it. All I have to say, Don. Go for it.
Well, I've read a ton over the years about the Ark of the Covenant. As a matter of fact, back in the 90s, Graham Hancock, when he was still a working reporter, did a tremendous amount of research on it. Nobody really knows what ultimately befell it. After the dispersal of the Israelis or the Israelites to Babylon, after that was ended and they ended up coming back, there was a lot of question whether they had that thing, whether they brought it with them or not. Now, today, where the temple was located is now an Islamic holy shrine.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And the only part of the temple still remaining is the wall. It's called the Wailing Wall. And I know a lot of Israelis and archaeologists wanted to dig beneath that site, and the Muslim people would absolutely go insane if they caught any of that happening for a lot of reasons, politics, religion, what have you. But Hancock was able to trace the so-called Ark perhaps to Ethiopia. Okay. Now, other things that I read about that was the suggestion that the Ark of the Covenant, in fact, may have been a communication device, which allowed the priestly class to communicate with Yahweh or God.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, there's, of course, this is thousands of years later. Nobody really knows. But one thing that was very evident about the Ark, only a very select group of people, the high priest, were even allowed to go near it when they still had possession of it. And it was in the temple. It was in the whole, what was called the Holy of Holies. And you were not even permitted to see the thing. But when it was moved about, and much, much earlier, before they had their temple, before even Solomon's temple was built, the Israelis were said to have carried, the Hebrews, to carry this thing when they were going into battle, which assured their ultimate victory over whatever enemies they were fighting. Now, in order to do this, there was a strict criteria of how these high priests had to handle the device. And once again, having read a lot about it, the suggestion was that you could not get near this thing with your bare hands because you would be struck dead. Now, if you were struck dead, what would have been the mechanism that would have done that? God from the heavens striking an unworthy individual dead? Or could it have been something as mundane, if you will, as this thing gave off a tremendous electrical static charge that would kill you? So, I mean...
Yeah, that seems more likely.
Right. So that seems to have been the deal with what was happening with that.
Well, the one in Ethiopia that's in that church, and the guy there's a constant guardian at the front door. The priest who guards it. The suggestion that there was multiple Ark of the Covenants. I heard that one was recovered in Israel, underneath the ground, and it's in a private collection now. Kind of being held by some powerful person.
Right.
So there are many stories, and there's one locked up in Area 51, I think, as Harrison Ford found out.
Right.
Well,
sealed up in a big old wooden box.
Yeah.
Have you guys looked at any of the information from William Henry yet? And
no, I have not.
Okay.
Why? I have a couple of his books here. What are you referring to?
Well, I'm referring to the Judgment Day device, where he says that, in fact, that's one of his books, the Judgment Day device, where he says, I've just started on this, but he says that the Ark of the Covenant is a very small part of a much larger overall device.
What does this apply as his reason for believing that?
To be honest, I got to get into it more. It's just so deep. But he's got a book called The Judgment Day Device, and I sent you a documentary on it this morning. So the next time we have an open lines, maybe we'll have time to all watch it and we'll get a little further into it. I just want to
here's the deal. We are right up against the first break. So I'm going to make this executive decision. When we come back, I will throw the phone lines open. And we're basically will be open for business. Not that anybody's going to call, but we'll be open for business. And here's the number if you're even a tiny bit enticed. 855-472-5483. That's 855-472-5483 or 85 KGRA Live, Live. And all of that is courtesy of the Paranormal Radio app and hotline. Hey, gang, we'll be back after these very few important words.
Okay, nurse, let's get this man to the ER stat.
Right away, doctor.
We see this every day. Heart attack or angina pain due to blocked and clogged arteries. Chelation can remove obstructions or blockages from arteries and help avoid painful and expensive surgery. Now there's Angioprim. It's a liquid oral chelation product that you take with juice. You start to feel the results fast. Angioprim increases blood flow all over the body, and that means more energy and strength to take on the day with less aches and pains. 60 years of research has gone into chelation, and Angioprim is the result. A safe and easy way to unblock your veins and arteries from buildup that slow circulation.
Paging Dr. Jones. Please report to the emergency room right away.
Log on now to angioprim.com. That's ANGIOPRIM.com. Or to speak with a trained consultant. Give Angioprim a call at 954-882-7221. That's 954-882-7221.
Folks, this is very important information. What's to be said about CBD? AncientLifeOil.com. Our CBD is made from hemp and has 0.003 THC, which means this wonderful product won't get you high, no matter what amount you take. What does CBD do for the body? My hands are tied, but you can Google CBD benefits and be astounded. When you're finished reading, you'll want to log on to AncientLifeOil.com. That's AncientLifeOil.com. and purchase. Life is good when you feel good. People are tired of pain. People are asking for non-GMO organic products to help them with, you fill in the blank. Legal in 49 states, and again, our CBD is made from hemp. Ancient Life Oil is about helping people one by one by one. If you wonder how good the product is, the CEO takes it every day without miss. AncientLifeOil.com. That's AncientLifeOil.com. Have a great day.
Hey, is that a new music app?
Yeah, check it out. Surfer Music Discovery. It links to thousands of online stations, but the twist is you see the song names and artists that are now playing live.
That's different. No guessing. Looks like a waterfall of music.
So many formats. Rock, oldies, country, R&B, jazz, and a whole lot more.
How's that spelled?
Surfer. S-U-R-F-R.
Is it expensive?
It's free. No need to sign up or sign in.
Get the Surfer Music app free from Google Play or the App Store.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7 with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
You listen to us, and we listen to you. And so does the CIA. KGRARadio.com.
And we are back from break number one. Hey, the phone lines are open. I've got my eye on the magic computer screen, 855-472-5483 or 85 KGRA Live. Guys, you know, I did my due diligence this week. And I found it, even though it was barely nothing to it, I did it anyway, and I did it actually with some dispute in my character, and that was to do the census thing. I did it online. And you know what really pissed me off? Because I don't figure it's anybody's goddamn business when they ask me for my race. Now, I got to tell you, the first thing I was tempted to do was type in human, Human. But finally, I thought, why flail at frickin' windmills? Okay, so do you consider yourself Hispanic? Do you consider yourself African American? Are you Asian? And all this crap. And if my name was One Hung Lo, I guess they would have figured out that I was Asian. But, Don Ecker. So I said, no, I'm white. Well, guess what? That wasn't good enough. Then they wanted to know, are you German? Are you French? Are you blah, 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 blah? And that pissed me off more.
Mm-hmm.
And then I said, finally, and I thought about it, and I actually had to wrestle with myself because, hey, both you guys know what kind of person I am. With the right thing, boy, I get ticked off, and then I don't think a lot.
Absolutely.
But finally, I said, well, screw that. I'm going to tell them I'm European. Okay, my ancestry is European. If that ain't good enough, screw you. That's my rant for tonight, and I'm sticking with it.
Yeah, I filled mine out as well. And one thing I will say, and I would assume that you would agree with me, Don, it was very easy with the internet, right? Boom, boom, boom.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that part was easy. But, I don't know what it is about them asking me what my race is. My race is freaking American, goddammit. And that goes back to before the freaking American Revolution.
Yes, it does. Well, how long do you guys, your guess, what's your guess about how long we would be in this quarantine situation where we would start seeing very odd behavior of folks that just that they let it get to them? I'm thinking probably 2 to 3 weeks in those places where they're basically told by the cops, go back inside. You're not supposed to be out here.
Oh, and you hear the joyful news. They say, it'll, probably die down till the summer, but it could be back in the fall.
Sure. Yeah, because regardless of how strong it is with contagious, it's a flu still. So that's what they do, right? They hang around.
Well, Mark, you were telling me about some young guy that you had read about the other day.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't you go ahead and give that little bit of info out?
Yeah, I was watching some stuff on the old YouTube from folks that I trust the information. And he talked about that a younger person, let's say they weren't specific, but let's say 30 or younger. That's the impression that I got. He went into a New York-based hospital and the breathing was a little labored, but it wasn't really bad. So they go and they talk to him and they didn't think it was dire. They said, yeah, you're a little under the weather, but it's really nothing to worry about. There was no outwardly things about him, tracks on his arms and things, I suppose. And then he leaves and in 24 hours, he comes back. He's basically drugged back by a friend of his, and he's in such bad shape that they put him on a ventilator at 100% of whatever they do with the ventilator, and the doctor said he's not going to make it. So you have an otherwise fairly healthy young guy who within 24 hours went from a basic cold to he's not going to make it, which is pretty darn scary. Pretty darn scary.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
New Orleans
rough.
is really getting hit. Yeah, New Orleans is getting hit hard. They've got 3,000 cases now and 130 dead. And they haven't even begun to hit, just like we haven't hit the wave yet. You know, the wave's still coming at us.
Right.
And it's going to be a rough ride. I tend to think that this is going to be a global reset economically and everything else. You know, it's going to be, we have to look at things a whole different way. First of all, we have to be prepared for the next one much better than we are for this one. You know, and I think we can do that. We just got to stay focused on it. You know, we can't say, oh, well, it's over. Let's go back to our routines. No, we need to have those things available. And we need to have a response, you know, much earlier. And we can not go through this like we have in the past. I think it's going to reset economics quite a bit, too. I really do think that whatever happens, it's at some level, we co-create it, but it's also being orchestrated by forces, you might say, beyond our control. You know, that maybe more like spiritual forces or, you know, that kind of thing. I don't know. I tend to think of it. I think we're in a very interesting time that has been anticipated. And maybe it's all the different, you know, prophecies you see about this time. Well, they all say, well, you know, when you see this and this and this, you know, you're in those times. What that means, whether it's a cycle, I'm sure it means a cycle, because I don't think that's going to be the end of the earth as we know it. I think it's going to be the end of the continuity of our civilization as we have known it, you know. What comes next will be up to future generations, you know, our children, our children's children. But things are going to change massively over time. The world that the young people are coming into, they're going to change it more than we'll recognize it, I think.
Well, I hope it would be nice if a larger majority of the people would respond more maybe maturely, because when we have a big earthquake in California, this was a good indication of how crazy it's going to be. Because if you can't get down to the store to buy 10 cases of toilet paper, your opportunities and options are greatly diminished. And it's very scary to think. It didn't affect my wife and I that much because we try to set up for the earthquake all the time, right? We try to do that. So actually, we really didn't need anything. We didn't have to go shopping.
Yeah, we're the same way.
And I know Don does that, and you do. But by the looks of it, and by what we were seeing, the sheeple, it'll never happen to me kind of attitude and behavior was not a good look. It just wasn't a good look. So like Don would tell me, you know, get yourself and your home ready accordingly, whatever that might mean to you. But if the stores are closed and people can't get there, the roving band of toilet paper thieves is not a joke, right? It's not a joke.
Yeah, we're stocked. I mean, we did that after the earthquake last summer. You know, I got magnets in all the cabinet doors to keep everything inside the cabinets. You know,
right.
I got everything attached to the wall. You know, every piece of furniture.
Right.
You know, and we got now all the delicate stuff. We took down all the, you know, the Gotchkis and they were fancy and stuff like that could be broken, and we stuffed them between the sofa pillows and everything else for a while. And then a couple of months ago, I sat down on one of the chairs in the living room, and I felt something hard. And I turned around, it was my cosmic egg. You know that thing, Don, that big old thing I got in Murano, Italy?
Right,
it's
sure.
A clear glass egg with some blue and orangey red stripes passing through it and some bubbles inside of it. And the thing weighs a ton. It's about almost 12 inches in length, like a big egg. And it sits canted at an angle on top of a base that's, as wide as it and about 5 inches high. And that's also glass, but it's looks like almost like dark wood. And so I picked it up and carried it over to the dining room table, and I realized that I was still so weak then. And as I sat down on the glass dining room table, I didn't quite get the edge of it up quite high enough. And one side of the base broke off in one big chunk, and I went, oh, man. But, I've got it semi-repaired. But anyway, yeah, so all those preparations we have done. And, we had our earthquake kit outside. We have a 50-gallon drum of water in a special container that, maintains its freshness and all that stuff. So, yeah, we got all set, I got my stun guns.
Yeah. It's just, it's a problem that from what we saw, the minority are ready as best as they can for things that happen that's out of our control, but the majority aren't. That's what it looks like to me.
Always true.
I've been listening a little bit to actually more reading online than I've been listening on television, but it's my understanding now that the state of California is fast approaching the same statistics that New York is experiencing. As a matter of fact, let me get a New York expert in here. Skywatcher, chime in here if you would, please.
Well, I don't think any state right now realistically can even compare to what's going on in New York, because New York has more cases combined than any other state combined. So, yes, California looks like it may start to increase. I think there was 4,000 cases or something like that in California in the last few days, but New York has over 52,000. I mean, it's exploding here.
How do you explain that, Bill?
Well, it's the densely populated areas, and I think a lot of this had to do when the president closed the flights coming in from China. This is a major hub in New York, and I think a lot of people were coming in from Europe and other places, and there was no social distancing back then. And like I said, it's so densely populated. When you go on the subway in New York or the buses, you take mass transportation, or if you're just traveling on the streets in Manhattan where it's so densely populated, it was just a matter of time where this was going to explode and be the way it is. Plus, you have knuckleheads, and that's what Mark was saying. I hope people, the majority, have more common sense. God forbid it happens next time. And like Richard said, it's most likely going to occur in the next flu season. But by then, hopefully, we'll have the medication treatments and possible vaccine down the line. But you still had people hanging out like nothing was going on. They were hanging out in Central Park. They're right now in the playgrounds playing basketball. They're doing all these contact sports. It's just because of the population, Don. It's just so dense. There's 9 million people who live in New York City. And in Long Island, it's densely populated and surrounding. Now, I agree right now. I know you guys have seen this in the news today. President Trump is thinking about quarantining certain areas in New York. They need to do that because they're going to just, what's happening is, I don't know if you saw this also on the news, Rhode Island has the police out there looking for people with New York plates to stop them and put them in quarantine. And they're going house to house looking for New York residents. Now, the same way it's a concern for them going out of state, we're worried about up here in upstate New York that the people are fleeing New York City and they're going to spread it even more up here. So I think it is a common sense approach where they're going to have to do some quarantine because, Don, I'm telling you, it's chaos down in New York City. I have family members down there, and they're afraid nerves. People are really scared down there. They're nervous, and I hope that this does not happen to you folks in California because I hear L.A. County is getting really bad now.
Oh, it is. And if you live out here, okay, in sunny Southern California, one of the things that you'll notice going back several months prior to this taking over all the news cycles was the fact that we have a tremendous homeless problem.
Yep.
Just roughly a mile from where I live, there was a very large homeless encampment. Guess what totally disappeared from all the news, not even a mention of it, is the homeless problem. And the big fear that they talked about a few months ago was what's going to happen if this contagion starts running through the homeless. Not a freaking word, nothing.
Yeah, it's a tragic seeing what's going down in California. Also in New York, there's a large homeless population in New York as well. The thing that I'm optimistic about, I really am, is that the government, the FDA, approved this new testing, the antibodies test, which can determine if folks already had the coronavirus, may not have even known it, and if by testing them negative, because that's how we need to get people back into the workforce. People who we know already had the coronavirus and are now testing negative, get back out there to work, because like Richard said, the economy is going to suffer big time, and that's also going to be a global. Definitely,
yeah, it's global.
And I've seen something that in California, many of your food services, your restaurants may close permanently because of this. That's what I've seen. I try to stay away from mainstream media because I don't want to see all this the fear porn that they're putting on the news. You know, it's too much. I try to just watch what my local, state, and what the president does on a daily basis with Vice President Pence and their team. That's basically, because right now, I think everyone who's listening right now has been so overwhelmed by this on a 24/7 cycle. And I think by now, all of us know what we need to do as far as social distancing, washing your hands, doing this, that. I think we already know what we need to do. I just hope that people are doing what they need to do, staying indoors, and hopefully the numbers will subside a bit. Because I'll tell you, Don, I people don't realize on a normal situation with the flu, influenza, the hospitals can deal with that. But because, like Mark mentioned, this is a highly contagious virus, it's going to overwhelm because you have so many people needing hospitalization or possibly ICUs with the ventilators. That's the concern. The good thing is, today in New York, yesterday there was 374 people admitted to ICUs. Today,
how many?
374. Today it went down to I think it was 174. It was something like that. It was more than half less the number. Now I don't know if that's a trend, but if that is, that's a good thing because it's starting to show that less people need that critical care.
Yeah.
We just need. Go ahead, Rich.
Cuomo has been really on top of it.
On it.
Get what he needs.
Yep.
Really on it.
But the thing is, we need both President Trump and you can see what Cuomo's doing. We need the politics to be put to the side, and everybody needs to work together. There'll be time for this bickering later on, but right now, we all are Americans, and we all need to work together to resolve this. And like you said, Mark, people need to be responsible. Hopefully the majority of those that are out there are being responsible and doing what they need to do and not being reckless and putting other people's health at risk, especially seniors and those that are high risk. I think if we all do this within the next few weeks, because it's already been going on for over a week, if we all do this for a couple more weeks, I think you're going to start to see, hopefully, the numbers are going to subside, like the president is saying, maybe possibly by Easter. That's an optimistic perspective, but I mean, it can happen. You could start seeing the numbers down. But if it was up to me, I would quarantine New York City and the surrounding areas from the spread going outward to other states and other counties. That's just my opinion.
Yeah. Well, in L.A., the Mayor Garcetti has been addressing aggressively the fear of the homeless problem, and they're doing a lot to try to deal with that right now. It's not they're ignoring it; they're just not, it's not in the news. I get the LA Times. I know whatever you think it's worth, it's the only paper you can get in LA, but the LA Times has covered this and Garcetti and things like that. The local news is covering Garcetti and what he's doing to deal with that. Everybody's severely challenged because we were in no way prepared for this. In no way.
But then again,
somebody's
Rich,
homeless, like a lady I talked to the other day. She works 2 jobs and she still can't get out of being homeless. She's living in her car.
Again, other administrations in the past were neglecting to do what they needed to do. Also,
oh, it's nobody's fault.
Yeah.
It's everybody's fault.
It's everybody's
It's not
fault.
a question of placing blame.
No,
it's a question of fixing the problem.
Exactly. Now, the thing that concerns me is we need. I know we're testing here in New York. I think almost 2,000 patients now have gotten that mixture, that combo you hear of the drug treatments. It's too early to determine if it's being successful or not because it's still in its trial basis. But I think there's a lot of optimism because that this is a global effort. Every country is working on some treatment or vaccine, and I think that in time it's all going to come down. But it's just these people need to take responsibility. What's going because it's easy for many of us to say that we're in our homes. I can go in my backyard. I can go outside and take fresh air and do things around the house. But what about the people that live in the big cities in high-rise buildings, trapped in their apartment buildings? And like Mark said, this is a drill. This is a practice run. In the event that something bigger happens, an emergency, to prepare for that event because, like Mark said, if there's an earthquake in California on a massive scale, well, this is a good test to see how the response is going to be, especially with your governor over there. There's a lot of things that we can learn a lot of lessons from this, and we can make sure that we learn from them and we don't repeat what happens in the future. That's the main thing here, is to learn the lessons that we're all going through. And it's really difficult for a lot of people out there as far as work and financial living. They get their paychecks. They live on a paycheck-to-paycheck basis. I mean, a lot of people are struggling out there, and there's a lot of fear, and people are scared. But I think, honestly, I'm an optimist. I'm not a pessimist. I think that in a few weeks, we're going to start to see the surges in some areas, and hopefully states are going to work with other states that when we finish our surge here, and that's what our governor's saying, we will send our nurses, our doctors, our equipment to the states that are just about to reach their surge so that they have the ample equipment and staff necessary to address the matters in their states or communities.
Yeah, well, one of the things happening right now is the governors are competing for the same pile of ventilators, and they keep bidding the price up, and it's making it horribly more expensive. That makes no sense. We need a federal policy to step in and manage the situation.
But also at the same time,
us driving the price up by having different states compete for the ventilators.
But at the same time, look at your stuff where it's made from. It comes the N95s, the ventilators, all this equipment, masks. Where is it produced? In China. We need
that's we got to change too. We got to have our own manufacturing base.
That's right. We need to do it
I've
here.
always felt that way. We should never give up our manufacturing base. That's what built this country.
Well, I will say this for all of you there in California and everyone everywhere, please be safe. And if you have family members that are seniors or high risk, try to please avoid coming into contact with them because there's still a lot of people out there that are walking around that are asymptomatic. And you don't want to harm those that are vulnerable right now. So as far as I'm concerned, on behalf of myself and everyone here at KGRA, God bless all of you. Be well, be safe, and we're all gonna get through this, and we'll make it. And we're Americans. We that's how we do things. We always find a way to get through these tough times all together, and we will overcome. And Don, we've got about a minute before we take a break, so the floor is all yours, guys.
Okay, and the lines are open for this open line show. Area code 855-472-5790. 5483 or KGRA Live. And guys, just looking at the clock here, and why don't we just go ahead? We take the break now, and when we come back, hopefully we'll have some calls. So take it away, Skywatcher.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7 with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Why is it we're not very good with our health regimen until it's too late? We don't put oil in the car until the engine blows up. When the body's out of balance, your health is not so good. Give your body some love. Log on to GetTheT.com. That's GetTheT.com. Try our Life Change Tea, which cleanses you from harmful intruders. A clean colon is one of the ways to bring the body in balance. We also carry organic supplements to help you get where you need to go. So do your body a favor. Log on to GetTheT.com. That's GetTheTEA.com. You can even visit our sales page to save some dough. Does anybody call money dough anymore? Anyway, if you're looking for short, helpful health tips, go to YouTube and punch in Health Matters Now. That's Health Matters Now. So, log on to GetTheT.com, shop, get balanced, then learn some cool tips at Health Matters Now. You'll be glad you did. That's GetTheT.com.
For the thousands of wounded warriors returning from battle, Wounded Warrior Project has developed the Warriors to Work program, a career counseling service that helps wounded warriors translate their military experience to a civilian job. These extraordinary men and women bring more than just teamwork and inspiration to the workplace. They bring proven world-class job skills. And to ensure proper placement, Wounded Warrior Project works with employers to find just the right job fit. Talented, skilled, and eager to get back to work, you have the opportunity to hire a seasoned veteran. Contact Wounded Warrior Project at findwwp.org. Welcome home, the brave.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now. The Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Now you have the inside contact for alternative talk radio. The Planet. KGRARadio.com.
And we are back with hour number 2 of Dark Matters Radio right here on KGRA. Yeah, we were having a heck of a conversation when we were on break. Skywatcher was contributing some of his extensive knowledge about what's happening, especially in New York. This, of course, is one of the stories that has taken over everything, rightly so. It's a heck of a situation, but I'm curious in how you out in the audience is handling this in your neck of the woods. For example, now, because we have here in California always the possibility of a massive earthquake, several years ago, I bought a store of food, about 4 months worth of survival, basically survival food. in case we needed it. And this has been packed away. Hopefully, I'll never have to open this up, but it's supposedly good for about 20 years. And, it's just one of the things when you're out here, we have a supply of water also. Just one of the things that you have to keep in your mind. But what about you out in the audience? How are you doing? And Mark, you have some supplies set away, don't you?
Yeah, but I do. But I just posted a link in chat and Skype chat that things have gotten much better with that. So like $150 will get you 2 weeks worth of food that'll last 25 years. So I did put a link in there, and I actually, yes, I've got a dry box. I rotate the stuff out, but I actually don't have one of those kits. So as soon as I know what the financial situation thing is going to finally settle down to, I'm going to go that route as well. So it's one thing to have top ramen and canned food and all that stuff, but when push comes to shove, I really need to get one of those kits. And then Mark, a person who was not in the service, would ask Don, a person who was. So then I have all of this stuff. So then do I put it in the garage? Do I put it in the master bedroom? Do I put it in a shed in the backyard? Because we don't know what's going to happen with an earthquake, because there's fire and there's everything falling down upon you. It has to be somewhere where you can get at it, right?
Sure.
So
are you in a 1-story house or a 2-story house?
One. So where does Don keep his material?
In a secret spot.
Well, no, I mean, is it in the house or?
Yeah.
Okay. And of course you see the problem. If for some reason the top of the house comes down, well, that's pretty useless then. So I've been thinking about that.
Well, if it does, it comes down on top of me. So will I even be around to worry about it?
Well, I don't think you have to worry about that. A 1-story house collapsing on you. That's remote.
Well, there's also the fire, right?
Well, that's a different thing, though. That could come afterwards. But yeah, you got to have it where it's accessible. That's why we have ours outside. In a big trunk on the side of the house with all the earthquake supplies.
Right.
And our garage, of course, is loaded for bear.
Right. So
we could feed all of us for a couple of months.
Here's a conundrum that we find ourselves in. Most of us remember the Tide Pod Challenge from a couple of years ago. And most of us have seen the videos on YouTube of folks who take the top off of juice and spit in it. And now we have a gal and other people, but this gal specifically, who's coughing over a bunch of food. They got to throw it all away, and she got arrested. But my question is this all because of social media, this kind of behavior, or is there something else that's going on that we've never seen before, where people do things like this just to be a-holes, just to get clicks, just to be famous or something on social media? Is that all that drives that kind of behavior?
That's the times we live in, and people, will do the crazy things just to get attention, as you can see all over the internet.
So do we think
and there's some
that
people who want it all, Dan? They want to share their misery,
Right. Do we think, let's say 30 years ago, where the greatest generation had more of an impact on the day-to-day behavior, do we think that if we dropped social media into 30 years ago, do we think we would see it at the same amount? I don't, because parents were more involved. I don't think you would see this quite as much. Plus, you would get publicly embarrassed, and that was a lot of the reason why a lot of kids didn't do stupid stuff, because not only would their parents come down on them, but just in public you get shamed for that kind of behavior. But that doesn't seem to happen now.
Well, public humiliation doesn't seem to be public humiliation any longer.
Right. Seems to be attracted. It's like, yeah, I'm getting folks to respond to me, good, bad, or indifferent, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, and I guess some people say, well, that's just, it's changed and you're old and you don't get it. Well, I don't think there's any time to look into something like somebody spitting into food or coughing on food and such. I mean, that has nothing to do with my age.
Well,
it's just,
do you know how many times it happens? When you send food back to a kitchen. I remember my chef one time. Somebody sent their burger back for being undercooked, right? Mm-hmm. So I took it back to him, and he took it. He threw it back on the stove for a minute, cursing in Spanish, and pinche cabrón from there, and then kind of threw it back out to me, But before he did that, he raised the bun up and he spit on it.
Yeah.
And he handed it to me, and I handed it to him, and I threw it. Well, that's great. You think I'm going to serve that to my customer? And I threw it back at him. I ended up with him threatening me going around, kicking the door in where he was, and staying and say, well, come on, let's go. I'm ready to go. You want to go? Things get pretty uptight.
I guess the difference is that was a mano y mano thing. Now we have folks who, and I'm sure that this is going on too. I haven't seen it yet, but I'm sure that there's folks out there purposely who know they have it, just trying to infect dozens of other people. I mean, it's just insanity.
Welcome to planet Earth. Everybody's at a different stage of consciousness.
My opinion is it also has a lot to do with the breakdown of the family and public humiliation.
When you talk about the breakdown of the family, I mean that the divorce rate has actually gone down, in the last 10 years substantially, and I don't find the parents they are inattentive. In fact, they're a little bit too hovering for my taste. I don't think that is exactly the case. From what I see around me.
I actually do, because my parents wouldn't let me have a phone if we were in that situation. They just would have said, I can't control you when you're away from the house, but you ain't having a phone, pal, because they know I'm going to go on there and watch porno and do all this other stuff. So
what I find is that kids, if they want to do something, they find a way to do it anyway.
Sure, and I did too, but my parents wouldn't give me the devices to help me get there, right? Cigarettes or drinking when I was a kid, they're not going to say, hey, here's a pack of smokes, kid. Well,
here's a pack of Camels and a bottle of Jack Daniels.
Right. So I know my parents very well, and they would tell me, a car, they said, we're not going to buy you a car. When you're graduated, you're going to buy it because you're kind of a numbskull and we don't trust you. And they were right to do that, because I was a numbskull.
Yeah, well, that's what, when we get old, if you paid attention in life, you've seen these things enough to know. There is wisdom in old age, I guess is what I'm saying. Sure. The young people, you just don't know when you're young. You think you're invincible, and you just got so much testosterone and hormones running,
Yeah, and that's
but I think that's how the species is designed. I think it's just designed that way.
Right.
There's a life you learn with and a life you live with after that, as they say.
Right. So if you have a portion of the parents out there that are inattentive, then you totally take that part of the process of growing up out that we had. Well, at least a bigger portion of the people had it. So
perhaps. I don't know if I would back that up, but yeah. Also,
I think we
were
can
managing a 350 million population. Back in 1970, we had what, 200 million?
Yeah, but Rich, behavior's behavior. There's good behavior and there's ignorant behavior, and we're seeing a lot of ignorant behavior.
trashy behavior. Well, I've seen that for a long time. I saw it in the classroom. I was stunned when I first started teaching special ed back in 1998. How people talked and how they, behaved, and it was like there was just an essential sort of lack of respect.
Yes.
And the baggy pants hanging down below the butt crack was very fashionable. They're dressed like a punk does in jail. So he's available to the prisoner that wants to sexually assault him. And that became a popular thing in the, in the areas where a lot of their population has spent time in jail.
Right.
And then it became popular, along with gangster rap. And boy, that's been a long fight to get them out of the baggy pants hanging down below their cracks. But now you see styles have changed, and I don't see people running around except plumbers with and a few people with their pants hanging down below the crack in the back.
Yeah,
that kind of evolved out of it.
It did. Now, granted, if there was dress like that when I was a teenager, my parents would put their foot down and say, "You're not dressing like that." Clearly, I could go hide it before I get on the bus or go to a friend's house. But by and large, especially the middle class moms and dads would just put their foot down. You ain't dressing like that, you idiot, right?
Yeah. Well, I came through 12 years of the Catholic school. In the first 8 years, we wore khaki pants, khaki shirt, khaki tie to school every day, summer, winter. Shoes polished. And we stood in the auditorium and had before school, met in the auditorium, sang "America the Beautiful" or another song, saluted the flag, said the Pledge of Allegiance, said a prayer, and then went to our classrooms. That's how Catholic school worked.
Well, we said the Pledge of Allegiance up until when I was a freshman in high school. That stopped, but before that, it was in every single year.
Yeah.
And of course, we got taught American history and world history, right?
They're still taught it. It's just you guys don't. Look, I'm in the trenches. I was in there for 18 years. I hear that and it just drives me crazy. It is being taught and taught well, and it's good teaching and it's good civics teaching. The kids just don't seem to get very interested. Those who do get very interested. But history just doesn't turn young people on. So it's not that you say the system is failing. We're not teaching it.
Oh, I'm not saying that, Rich. So why did the kids why when we were kids, what was different in the mental behavior of kids in the 70s that I didn't love it, but you know what I loved less? A bad score. So I did what I had to do to get a passing grade. Well,
that's you being you. Yeah, and a lot of kids do that today. A lot of kids do the same thing today. I think that's a false comparison. And I just think if you've been in the trenches, it depends on the parents. It depends on the kids' motivation. It depends on so many things.
Right.
It's like we're teaching no different. I mean, I had a terrible history teacher in high school, and I was at a college prep school. He was the assistant baseball and basketball coach. He didn't know a lick of history, And I had to go in his classroom, and he would just say, open the page, back of the chapter, and answer all the questions. Then he'd put his feet up on the desk and read the paper.
Right, that's the teacher. But if we say you have a decent teacher then and a decent teacher now, there was a different outcome back then in the school that I went to, because not only would you be looked at as a dummy in school because you couldn't pass American history, but my parents would come down on me with a ton of bricks. At the very least, you idiot, you're going to get a D. You are going to pass this.
Oh, yeah. I think parents still do that.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Take it from in the trenches, man. I'm telling you. I just don't think you guys are hearing it on television. You're not out in the field. It's not that way. I'm sorry.
All right. So when they go out in the field and they ask basic questions about civics and they can't find anybody under 30 that has the right answer, where's that come from?
That comes from people who would rather be on their cell phone or any place else in a history class.
And where's that come from?
And where it has always been.
Right, but where does that come from?
What do you mean? Where does that come from? Kids behave like kids. That's where it comes from.
Oh, okay.
What are you suggesting? I mean, you're suggesting that, somehow, oh, those young people in there and the schools, and it's like, no. I mean, things have changed and they've gone downhill in a lot of ways, and I've told you I observed that when I started working. But as far as like what's being offered, how it's being managed, how parents are involved, it depends on family to family, depends on person to person. You know, it's not like the schools are falling down. Suddenly they got lousy teachers and they don't give a shit. I mean, I had that lousy teacher at a private, which we paid a lot of money for, Catholic college prep school. You know, Now I had a great math teacher who is, you know, gay and beloved, you know, in a Catholic school, and nobody cared. You know, half the brothers were gay anyway, because that's a good place to hide out when mommy keeps saying, when are you getting married? And you go, I think I'm going to be a priest. You know, it was all that stuff. I mean, those were different times,
right?
In a lot of ways. But it's all changing, you know, and it's true. There's a lot of bumps when, you know, there's a difference between freedom and license, right? All society can do is limit freedoms, right? Because it's like the roads. You're not free to drive 200 miles an hour on the freeway, right? Because it's not for the common good. You're just not allowed to. We have to put restrictions on your freedom. You know, and it's like, that's this thing we do as living it together in big large like we are right now. We're all free to go out and contaminate other people, but, you know, it's not a smart move. But we're limiting the freedom of people's movement. We're limiting the freedom of everything right now. This is what societies do when they act as a society, you know. And the elements of society, you can go back to the 18th century in this country, and you'll see that it's kind of all the same. They were a lot more rigorous, though, I must say, in the 1900s in their schooling. I mean, you were expected to be a huge memory bank of stuff, you know, and essays were written as tests, you know, a lot more written out in longhand, your test. They weren't bubbling in, you know, and they weren't multiple choice. You had to explain everything you knew about the Monroe Doctrine, you know, and did all the points that the teacher wanted you to do.
I know in math, I had to show my work. If I didn't, I would flunk.
Yeah, exactly. You have to show your work, you know, and that was a little bit of a trap for me because sometimes I would just know the answer. I had to go figure out, well, how did I get to it?
Yeah. I just, it really bothers me that through the need for attentions, that there's some of this behavior that is just so ignorant, just so ignorant.
I remember I was hitchhiking to the beach and first day of summer with my buddy, and we'd walk down a block with a towel with our bathing suit wrapped in it under our arm with a rubber band around it. And we would hitchhike straight up my street, West End Boulevard, out to the lakefront, like the Coney Islands, called Pontchartrain Beach, where the beach was, the pool was, a public pool, where the rides were and all that stuff, the live shows. And, you know, we'd go out there. It was first day of summer, we'd go out there. So we're standing there hitchhiking, and this kind of beat up Chevy pulls up with about 4 guys in it, and they pull over to pick us up, you know. So I walk up to the door and I say, we're headed for Pontchartrain Beach. The guy looks at me, he does poop, and he spits right in my face, right? And I said, son of a bitch. And they laughed and took off, right? So we keep walking, and suddenly from behind us, they went around the block. They jump out of the car. 2 guys grab me, 1 by each arm. The 3rd guy stands in front of me and breaks my cheekbone, you know. And then they laugh and get in the car and drive away. My buddy got to run away. They didn't chase him.
Yeah.
You know, and I wore that thing for about 5 months, you know.
Yeah.
So, you know, that people can be uncivil even back then in 1961.
Yeah, that's true. But the only difference with that kind of behavior is now they have the punch out game where hundreds of kids are going to punch out old folks to put it on the internet.
Yeah, I know, that's disgusting.
See, so it's progressed.
That's the breakdown we're talking about.
And the only reason it's progressed is social media, because it gives them a chance to share it and say, look at me. Hey, I think that we should take a call from Steven.
Is he here?
I think so.
He is. And let's go to Steven. Hey, Steven, how you doing, buddy? You saved us from ourselves.
Yes, thank you.
Hey, Don, how's everyone today?
Hey, we're just hunky dory, buddy.
We're doing point counterpoint.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. That's great. No, it's great that you guys are live. I know that over this sort of quarantine,
Alive,
I was curious.
I'm glad
if
I'm live.
everybody was- yeah, I was hoping that you guys would be on. So it was nice when I spoke with Mark earlier on Facebook, and he mentioned you guys would be on along with Skywatcher as well. So great episode. Enjoying it as we're locked.
You
in
are.
Southern California.
That's one of us.
Yeah.
It would be nice to get off the topic of getting to something spooky, and get off of the real spooky.
I saw the trailer for the new Phenomenon movie that James Fox is doing. It looks really good. I guess he sort of got off the 701, maybe pivoted over to something else, but
no,
that one looks
that is the end of 701. That is 701.
It looked like 701 was supposed to be sort of a mix between sort of like acting and documentary sort of thing.
Well, that's where it ended up. It ended up, right, Don?
Oh,
yeah, pretty
much. No, I understand what you're saying. I thought you said that Phenomena was the end of, like it was like the ending of, but this is like what it basically morphs into, is what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say.
No, I thought you meant it was like this was the ending of that one, as though there was like another documentary that I missed, and I was like, oh no.
Yeah.
It looks good though. The trailer looks good. I like that they're going back to New Zealand and interviewing those school children, because I always thought that was a very interesting case, especially when you watch the interview that the psychologist did from where was he from?
Mac
did. Yeah, the way Mac, he was very good, obviously being a trained professional and not, just some hack out in the field. He understood how to interview those children and ask them the questions in just the right way. And when you watch the way they interact with them, it's very difficult to come away thinking that, those kids are just having a creative imagination and just making something up. They were definitely, in my opinion, telling something genuine. And I guess in this film, he meets up with some of those kids, and they stand by what they saw, it looks like.
Well, so does the teacher, who finally came to the door and looked outside and saw what was going on. And he said, yeah,
right.
He was interviewed too. So it's like, I think we got to get past this barrier, which has been so powerfully reinforced by the, intelligence agencies and everything else, of the ridicule of the UFO subject. I think, first of all, the majority of what we're seeing from about the mid-50s onward is not alien tech. I think it's ours, and I would still stand by that to this day. What I saw in New Mexico near Sandia, I don't think, at the time I didn't think it was some aliens from, Roswell. I thought, because they've been talking about it, that's one of ours. That must be that son of a bitch. We do have them, And today I find more and more evidence that is exactly true. And, most of what we're seeing when we see it, this looks like, extraterrestrial, so far advanced. But that's how advanced we became. And now it's all in the hand of corporations, in a quasi-relationship with certain elements of the government and their own private security forces. The Eric Davis story and the Admiral Wilson story reinforces that. Don't you agree?
Yeah, I mean, certainly you can't discount that. I think that is obviously the majority of, I think, most of the sightings, and I think a lot of the more salacious stories just have their genesis in the disinformation campaign. So I think that there's fingerprints all over that. But, there are some true anomalies out there, some cases that really just...
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm not saying they're all. Yeah, I'm saying the majority of what we're seeing. But I could be wrong there, too. I mean, people see all kinds of stuff. I've seen so much stuff, I don't know what to think about it. I think I must be crazy. Like, I must be hallucinating,
Right.
I mean, when I saw that shallow gold pyramid floating with this one tip, tilted down about 100 feet over the 405 freeway and wider than the freeway, I saw it clearly at an intersection as I'm looking to my right, and I went another block, looked again, and it was no longer there. I go, well, what did I see? What? Because I saw it. I was looking right past the teacher who was riding with me, turned my head to the right, and there it was. And I didn't say anything because he was a brand new science teacher, and I was showing him around the neighborhood because I didn't want to go, oh, there's a UFO. I didn't want to, Yeah. I just waited till I got to the next corner where there was an opening, you know, I could see all the way up the freeway, and it was no longer there. And I went, well, what was that, you know? By the time I arrived home in the afternoon, parked my car, you know, my house in the cul-de-sac, and turned left to walk to my house, and something glinted. And I turned my head back to look, and there, out in the canyon, at about 30 degrees, was this acorn, you know, with a dull lead bottom and kind of a brassy colored top, and kind of squashed like a, you know. And I went, what the heck? And the moment I said that, it vanished. Probably just moved so fast I couldn't see it, you know. But it's like, I saw Don the night we had that meal out in the valley, and I saw that twinkling green lights through it I described before, slowly descending into the ocean, you know.
Right. Sure.
It's like, there's lots out there, and, you know, it ain't all us, that's for sure, you know. But a lot of it is.
The ocean.
The fact that we have not out of this technology. Now, here's part of this reset, by the way. Here we have a chance. We and other countries have the technology, right? What if to rebuild the economy, we got them to, you know, loosen their grip on some of these things, which could really revolutionize our environment, our energy needs, things like this. The only reason we don't is because the power of the central bankers and big oil. They insist on being the powerful and rich. Because if they give up the control of the oil and keeping us on the internal combustion engine and propulsion jet engines, man, you know, what are they going to do then?
Well, hold that thought, Rich. We're at the break time. We're going to take that break. And ladies and gentlemen, you too can call in 855-472-5483 or 85 KGRA Live. And we'll be back.
Okay, nurse, let's get this man to the ER stat.
Right away, doctor.
We see this every day. Heart attack or angina pain due to blocked and clogged arteries. Chelation can remove obstructions or blockages from arteries and help avoid painful and expensive surgery. Now there's Angioprim. It's a liquid oral chelation product that you take with juice. You start to feel the results fast. Angioprim increases blood flow all over the body, and that means more energy and strength to take on the day with less aches and pains. 60 years of research has gone into chelation, and Angioprim is the result. A safe and easy way to unblock your veins and arteries from buildup that slow circulation.
Paging Dr. Jones. Please report to the emergency room right away.
Log on now to angioprim.com. That's ANGIOPRIM.com. Or to speak with a trained consultant. Give Angioprim a call at 954-882-7221. That's 954-882-7221.
Folks, this is very important information. What's to be said about CBD? AncientLifeOil.com. Our CBD is made from hemp and has 0.003 THC, which means this wonderful product won't get you high. No matter what amount you take. What does CBD do for the body? My hands are tied. But you can Google CBD benefits and be astounded. When you're finished reading, you'll want to log on to AncientLifeOil.com. That's AncientLifeOil.com. and purchase. Life is good when you feel good. People are tired of pain. People are asking for non-GMO organic products to help them with, you fill in the blank. Legal in 49 states, and again, our CBD is made from hemp. Ancient Life Oil is about helping people one by one by one. If you wonder how good the product is, the CEO takes it every day without miss. AncientLifeOil.com. That's AncientLifeOil.com. Have a great day.
Hey, is that a new music app?
Yeah, check it out. Surfer Music Discovery. It links to thousands of online stations, but the twist is you see the song names and artists that are now playing live.
That's different. No guessing. Looks like a waterfall of music.
So many formats. Rock, oldies, country, R&B, jazz, and a whole lot more.
How's that spelled?
Surfer. S-U-R-F-R.
Is it expensive?
It's free. No need to sign up or sign in.
Get the Surfer Music app free from Google Play or the App Store.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Mainstream media's most wanted. KGRARadio.com.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen, and this is our open line show. If you want to call in, 855-472-5483 or 85 KGRA Live. Okay, guys.
Well,
yeah, did you guys, I doubt if you had a chance to watch it, but did anybody have a chance to watch the new Skinwalker Ranch thing they put out today?
Oh, not today. Is it out today?
Yes.
Where is it, on YouTube or?
Yeah, I sent it out to everybody in my list on Facebook and in an email and Skype chat too. So if you have a chance, it's about 20 minutes long, and I don't know what to think.
Well, you know, they're doing this series called Skinwalker Ranch. You know, the next project, the people who bring you the Hunt for the Templar Treasure, you know, that show,
right.
That thing. Well, the advertising is being brought to you by the same people who brought you that. They're going to bring you the Skinwalker Ranch Spook Show, you know.
Right.
It's going to be a weekly series.
Well,
it's interesting. I
mean, all that is also, as it gets out into the broader community, is going to have, you know, people, you know, again, looking at this in a different way than they used to. In other words, the variety of things that have been presented to us that occurred at Skinwalker Ranch seem to have no limit, and it was always anticipated by whatever invisible intelligence is there. I find some of the more bizarre stuff, like the office rising out of the ground, with the guy sitting in a glass office working, and then it goes back in the ground. You familiar with that report from the Skinwalker Ranch?
Yeah.
Yes.
What's interesting is that twice now I've heard in this the new video and the one from about a week ago, they're claiming to have a bunch of this on tape, and I'd like to see it. So hopefully we will.
Yeah, without Don taking a trip out there and picking up some company for the way home. Right, Don?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I think that's a legitimate concern, I'll be honest with you. Like, you stare into the dark long enough, you're looking at it, just looking back at you.
Not to be
And
played
that
with,
is the scary part. You know, I've told this story a number of times, that back when George Knapp and Colin Kellner had their book published on Skinwalker Ranch, Vicki and I drove over there to have dinner with Knapp and to interview him. And boy, I did everything to get out there. And he said it was all up to Bigelow. So he said he would ask. And I got to tell you, I'm glad Bigelow nixed it, because the last thing in the world I would have wanted was to bring one of those friendly little guys back.
Yeah, I had some experience with that.
So they just said, X-Lady said on Ancient Aliens tonight, Skinwalker Ranch is featured. And I just wanted to throw this out. I thought it was interesting how deep this can get into culture, as we all know. We were watching, I can't believe I can't remember. It's just a series on TV. It'll probably come to me. But they mentioned the name of the Harry Reid group. What's that? ATIP?
Yeah.
They mentioned that in this show, and it was NCIS Los Angeles from last week. They mentioned ATIP,
Really?
and they go through this whole thing about ATIP in this show. And I was like, wow. I mean,
what was the show about? Did it involve a UFO thing or something?
In a roundabout way. I will send that out to my group. I was just, it's like, wow, you just don't, you don't see him get so specific and use real names. Because most of the time, like with the corona, I'm sure that at some point we'll see a bunch of shows that have some kind of a virus, but they won't call it coronavirus. But in this, they called it ATIP.
That's very interesting. Oh, you know what flew over my house today? You know those planes, like a big naval transport that has two big engines on the end of the wing that face upward, and then as it rises and it tilt forward, you know?
Oh, yeah.
And then it flies?
Yeah, those are cool.
Yeah, those are really cool.
Yeah.
I forget the nomenclature for that, but one flew, man, so all over my house it was rattling my teeth today, heading out towards the ocean.
A lot of resources being moved around this country right now to where they're needed. But the skinwalker
one
stuff
thing I
is
find
interesting.
interesting, Tulane University did research on the origin of the virus, right? And if you trust Tulane University's professors not being paid off by some gigantic conspiracy, which I'm sure you can find on QAnon,
God.
You know, they said, look, we know exactly where it came from. That's what we do. You know, we've traced it back. It comes from a bat, and it comes from the thing that's like a platypus. They call it something different. The what do you call it? Come on, somebody help me out here. It's an animal that looks like a platypus sort of, but with armor. I forget. But anyway, they have to trace it back to that. Yeah. What do you know the name? What is it? Pangolin?
Armadillo?
No, it's not an armadillo. It's I'm sorry. What's a pangolin?
I don't know.
I think it might be pangolin. Pangolin? I think it might be. Anyway, it's like a Chinese version of a cross between an armadillo and a platypus. Anyway, that's where it came from. You know, and it belongs in the family of coronaviruses, of which there are many. You know.
Yes.
I like unless they are being paid off to lie like that, and I don't think they are.
I think the Scottish.
I like the fact that kind of puts all these elaborate conspiracies to death. You know, I've heard so many conspiracy theories. How it came from the States. We sent 18 soldiers over to do a training in Wuhan. The soldiers act very lackadaisical, didn't care about the training at all. Some of them probably were unknown carriers or were conscious carriers, and they spread it in Wuhan, and it spread around the world, blah, 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 blah. Others say, well, they were going to use it, China was going to use it against Hong Kong, you know? Like, that makes no sense at all. You know, the Chinese not that stupid to think they could put it in Hong Kong and it wouldn't spread, you know? So all those things are just like, I guess people are bored, you know? Are they looking for the great conspiracy? I don't know.
They want to see conspiracy everywhere, but, you know, things certainly just happen. You know, it seems like the Scottish looked at this too, and I don't think they have a dog in the fight. And they said origin was, you know, animal to human transfer, so it wasn't a lab build. But again, you know, as layman, I couldn't read the paper or the conclusion and tell you one way or the other. So it's just you really just have to trust your source at that point.
Ronald called in from Minnesota. So let me get him in here and see what Ronald's got to say. Ronald, welcome. How you doing?
Hi, Don, and thank you for a wonderful show. And hello to Richard and to Mark.
Thanks. Hey, Ron.
I think we lost Stephen when we brought Ronald on.
Oh no. Okay.
I guess
well, hello to Stephen. Anyway.
Call back, Stephen.
All right.
So what's on your mind, Ronald?
So I had a question, just about a couple of questions about this whole episode with the locking everybody inside the house. And the question that I have is, I got a gas mask on now. Anyway, one, what are they not telling us? You know, they're not telling us the truth or the whole story, okay? Number two, has anyone had any experiences of paranormal sense and or UFO sense while they've been locked up in their house? Mine's been pretty quiet recently. That's why I'm asking this question, because mine's been kind of quiet, kind of oddly quiet compared to, because I'm here all the time. I'm not able to get out. And so I'm just wondering if anyone's having any situations that are like magnified, I guess would be the good way to put it.
Well, I can't say I have. How about you guys?
No.
Well, there's a site that Greg Bishop has that people are responding to, on that level to things, and a whole lot of things are happening to people, more of a paranormal, and especially UFO nature, and depending on people's consciousness, it varies a lot. But very interesting responses. But there's a lot going on, and the more sensitive you are, the more is going on, the more aware you are.
Okay. All right. That sounds like a good answer. Thank you for that. I was just wondering about that. I haven't seen any UFOs yet. I'm still waiting. The only thing that I caught that one time was in my video that I was made aware of, that I actually had it on the video. I didn't know I had it. And when I was taking a walk around town back in the summertime, and I saw this thing in the sky, I didn't know what it was. And Andrew Morrow showed me that it was there on the video. And it was like, okay, that's kind of weird. It was pretty far away, so I couldn't tell what it was. So essentially it is a UFO, but, for all what we call it a UFO, right? But besides that, I haven't had anything that I had recognized or sighted or could even say was a UFO. I had a few instances of the radio going dead. I had a few instances of which normally it would be running just fine. And then just missing time of some sort, every now and then. Just not realizing, like, why did I wind up here when I was there, that kind of thing. And, of course, I'm driving through a bunch
that kind of thing. That does sound like missing time, and it sounds like it might have a deeper history,
Yeah. And, where I live at, we have the historical site, the petroglyphs in my town, actually. And the petroglyphs are anywhere from 7,500 to 10,000 years old. Okay, might be a little bit older than that even. But you think about the kind of energy that could be involved with those, that we don't even have a clue about what's going on with that, So just thought, there's many things in a big city. There's a lot of things that we don't know what energies are being used or expensed. And you guys live in Southern California, you know what I'm talking about. And anyone like Bill lives in New York, there's a lot of strangeness going on in the city, and could be right next door to you, and you don't even know what's going on. Hopefully
Don and I have
safe.
a couple of stories about that. The Bill Moore, Mike Younger story.
All right. Well, I'll let someone else call in, and thank you for taking the call, and thank you for the open lines tonight. And last night's show with Micah Hanks was amazing. Thank you, Don, for great guests.
you enjoyed that. Great. That's good to hear.
Yeah,
Ron.
and then there's open lines. Of course, every Saturday is a lot of fun as well because I get to call in. So thank you very much, and keep it going. And I'll call in whenever you're live. I'll make sure I call in.
Okay,
right?
buddy. Thank you.
Even yeah. All right. Good night.
Good night, Ron.
So here's the show that I'll send you guys, where they name drop ATIP. Season 11, episode 18. It's called Missing Time, and the description is: the team investigates the disappearance of a Department of Defense officer who was looking into a recent UFO sighting. And they name drop more than ATIP. I was just surprised because you don't see current shows name drop current information like that too often. They tend to change it around, right? But not here. Not here.
Well, you've got every show that does like that show, like NCIS. They have to have a naval advisor on the show too. On the set.
Yeah.
So that makes it more interesting to me.
Yeah. I did not think about that. Absolutely.
I wonder what his input was, or if the next like I say, at a certain point, people are going to have come to accept the reality of UFOs in a much bigger way than they did before. Everybody said, "Oh, you're crazy, you're nuts," and all that kind of stuff. And that program worked for a long time for a lot of people, especially those who are locked into, a certain view of the world, very didactic on old physics and things like that. And we're the only living creatures in the universe. The kind of thinking. It's comfortable thinking. It's cozy thinking. Don't feel so lost. Other people feel just the opposite. You mean we're alone in this goddamn big universe where the bigger the telescope we make, the further we see out, and we're the only things here? I'm not buying it. I never did, I wouldn't be surprised we're being visited by 1,000 races over the last, millions of years, What's happening in Antarctica? What, the claims there, what they're discovering. It's all becoming much more broadly exposed and accepted. So now, instead of being able to dismiss the conversation, they have to direct the conversation. And that's a different stage of the cover-up.
Well, you know what I know? There's 40 planets in our solar system, and each one's got an ET presence. That's what I know.
And don't forget, there are 50 million people on the moon, dude.
Playing volleyball.
And not slapping at him alone, but look, I don't know if he's right or wrong, but for me, when we hear stuff like that, it's not helping. You know what I'm saying? At least for me. And that's why the subject continues to be somewhat laughed at and poo-pooed.
Well, that's another way to direct the conversation.
Yeah, depending on why that person wants to do it to begin with, I guess.
Well, I mean, that's what the government has done that for many years. They put, false flag stuff out there and then pull the rug out from them from, Emma Nager to Linda Moulton Howe to, all that stuff. They're ruthless because to them it's like it's war, and we have to win. So whatever we have to do, we do. If we got to eliminate you, we'll eliminate you, until somebody tells us different.
Well, I mean, there is a question when if somebody, whoever it might be, if somebody's fairly well
Somebody is crackling a food bag or something.
If somebody's fairly well known and they have a crowd of people that like to listen to what they say, that person might not have been gotten to, right? Like this Q stuff. I'm not an expert on Q, but Tom Hanks was supposed to get arrested for pedophilia, and now he's back from Australia with his wife, right? There was supposed to be martial law last Monday, and there wasn't. It's like, man, we're getting so messed up with all this information. Just so much information.
I'm not buying any of that stuff that Assange is kicking out there. I mean, I think it's all distorted.
Now, I don't know that much about Q. Is your view that Q is Assange?
Well, Assange kind of fueled the startup of Q, I think.
Yeah, I don't know. But I do know some people that I've known for a long time who put heavy weight into what Q says. And
I know. And it's a mixture of information and then these wild diatribes on they're about to arrest all these people all over the world and there's going to be a simultaneous. And it's like, I went, well, I guess that's possible. And it doesn't really feel like that's happening. And what are they waiting for? I thought this was the time. What? How come it hasn't happened? Huh, guys?
Well, and they also, much like a man of the cloth saying it's going to happen on this date. That's what they're doing. They're attaching dates to their stuff, and and from what I can tell, the only thing I could find that actually happened, which you could bet on this in Vegas, was that Epstein was going to get killed in jail. Well,
yeah, right.
Okay, but what about the rest of the stuff?
if they did do this, I mean, there's plenty to go after, but I just don't think they're doing it. I think it's just QAnon's wet dream.
Well, and the bottom line is, are you going to take your hopium? That's the new term, folks. Hopium. That you hope it's going to take place. Are you going to take that from a source that's unknown?
Not me.
Completely unknown. I don't know. Just interesting to find some friends of mine who are otherwise intelligent folks, and well, you got to leave your mind open. Don't put your hand up to anything. It all goes in the gray basket.
Well, that's considered critical thinking. I mean, you know, there are cases which are really strong on circumstantial evidence, and there are cases that are really strong on concrete evidence. They got the gun, you know. But circumstantial evidence can be even more compelling sometimes than the physical evidence, you know. And depends how you join the dots, and that's what I find the hardest part of reading a lot of paranormal and UFO stuff is like, well, we're reading what you bought is true, and then your extrapolations out of that going on forever, you know.
Right.
And it's like there's no real solid basis for it when you track it back down. You know, just there's none. Just like they were saying that ibuprofen was supposed to be very bad, and then one of the CDC people said, you know, that's not true. That's not grounded in any kind of truth. That's a rumor that got everybody accepted. It's like doctors will tell you that's not true. You know, you don't have to worry about ibuprofen.
And I hear that claim all the time. If you drink cold water, you have a chance to get a heart attack. And man, it just won't go away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know, if you bury a dead frog under a rock, your water will go away.
Well, I think I'll go try that.
Go for it, babe. I highly recommend it. Run a video for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, wait a minute.
Uh-oh.
If you bury a dead frog under a rock, you'll what?
Your what will go away.
Huh.
You know, all those old folk things like that, you know, folk remedies. You know,
that's kind of rough on the frog, isn't it?
Well, he's just a frog. I mean, what's he going to do? Ribbit. Or the horny frog, you know, rub it. But it's just a frog, man. You know, it's like my what's more important than that frog.
Well, okay.
You know, I'm just saying this is the kind of, you know, thinking rumors get started and people just popularize them, or a kid needs an answer to something, you make it up, and the rest of his life, the kid looks at the world through those glasses, you know. I used to wonder, I used to have a show called Do You Know Why, on early television in the 50s, brought to you by Pan Am. And it showed a cartoon of the Earth rotating with all the little shadows, silhouettes of buildings and stuff on the surface sticking out. I mean, I was like real little, like 5. I go, well, how come they don't fly off? They should be on the inside if it's spinning, because that will keep them against the wall. You know?
Yeah. I know that there's no rule about this, but in general terms, when does a researcher, armchair or not, walk from an event or a person who's making a claim again and again and again and again, and nothing seems to come of it? Does it still go into the gray basket?
Well, you go walk into any church and listen to some teacher talk about his prophecies. You know, I mean, I see some on cable. You know, these. Oh, now we have brother so and so who's going to prophecy for us. You know, and you can imagine what that's like.
Right. Well, I mean, like with Q or something, if they're going to make these claims and they keep failing and failing and failing, at what point do you just throw your hands up and say, look, if you find something, it'll make the news, or my friend will tell me and it'll be confirmed. I'm out of here.
Well, maybe it's just about the clicks. You know, they want to get more clicks. Who knows? That's crazy. I mean, I believe Gary McKinnon, reported on what he found, and I don't think he's making it up. But I do not believe Assange and the QAnon narrative they're putting out, because it's ridiculous, and everything they say is not borne fruit. Dates have passed, blah blah blah. It's just a minefield. You got to keep your common sense, man, and keep your gut. First impressions seem to be the truest, right, Don?
Sure, whatever you say, buddy. And here's the deal. In 30 seconds, we're off the air. Thank God. So with that being said, this is Dark Matters Radio, and of course, it's all being brought to you courtesy of KGRA Radio, your contact point to the paranormal. And Rich and Mark and myself will be back, God willing, and the virus don't strike. A week from tonight, we'll be back, of course, with, and I'm not sure who it's going to be on Friday, but I'm pretty sure we have somebody set up. And with that being said, that's it for tonight. Hey, look, take care of yourselves. Be very careful. Make sure you wash your hands. You're not supposed to touch your mug, although occasionally my dogs will still give me a kiss. I don't know if that's good or bad, but the dogs seem to enjoy it. And Mark, did you have something to say?
Hey, God bless Sam and Dean Winchester. Rich sounds good. And I loved what the producer had to say tonight. I thought he was spot on. Thank you, Bill.
And that's it for tonight. Bill, as always, you did a hell of a job. And we'll see you then.